everybody. It is Tuesday and it is 6:30. And
What's
y'all
up?
know what time it is. It's Heart Talk time. It's
What's
Heart
going on?
Talk time.
What's going on? What's
Yes.
going on? What's going on?
Yes, we are so excited to be in the house tonight. We are excited. We are grateful for all opportunities, honestly, all opportunities. So tonight, hey sis, that's Jamila. So tonight we are going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart because I have been guilty of it for most of my life, especially this week. And so tonight we are talking about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome.
Whew.
And how imposter syndrome is used to keep you from your purpose, just like perfectionism, just like all of these other things that we build up in our head and tell ourselves, these self-talks that we give ourselves. And Glenn, one of the things that I realized this week about imposter syndrome is that imposter syndrome is about your relationship with yourself. It really doesn't have anything, your experiences count, but it's really about how you communicate with yourself. It's about what you say to yourself when you're alone. We walk through life and people say negative things to us all the time. People have called us names. People have said, you're not going to make it. They've told us to take the easiest route because we are incapable of taking the more challenging route. We've heard negativity all of our lives, and especially Black folk on here. We know, right? So we've heard negativity and we've heard discouragement all of our lives. Here's the deal. You've probably heard more encouragement than discouragement in your entire life. If you think back, really think hard, especially when you're in a position of influence. You've probably heard more positivity in your life than you have negativity. I'm talking to myself now. But you choose to take the negativity, hang on to it, and allow it to narrate the conversations that you have with yourself. For those of you who don't really know what imposter syndrome is, it is the fear, and this is so it's a lot of things, but here's my thing. It is the fear that people will see you for who you think you are, especially when you have low self-esteem, or especially when you don't see the best in yourself. You take it and you use it, and it is used to twist your mind to believe that you're an imposter, and that the good things and the amazing things that people think you are, that they're going to figure you out because you think in your mind you ain't got it, you don't have it, and that you can't push forward. And so tonight, we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and how imposter syndrome keeps you from your plan A, how imposter syndrome makes you inferior to the greater things in life, and how it keeps you living empty because you're afraid to live full. I went to a funeral today in which the pastor said, dying is easy, but we'll find all kinds of reasons to talk us out of living. All kinds of reasons. And imposter syndrome is one of them.
Amen.
So Dr. Glenn Thomas, let's get into it. Because you talk about it in Plan B Sucks. You talk about imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, I think When I think about imposter syndrome, I look back in a lot of events in my own life. And I'll tell you, I mean, I think I look back at one instance, what's going on, Nick? I look back at one instance in my life where I was sitting in the office in Atlanta with my supervisor and a good friend, still is my good friend. Uh, and we were talking about the 2009 mayoral race in Atlanta. And, we were going back and forth and we were talking about the candidates and she was basically saying, I just really don't really want to support any of the candidates. I don't really know who I'm going to support at this time. And we were going back, laughing back and forth. And she said, Glenn, for all intents and purposes, I mean, you should run for mayor. And we laughed and we kind of, smirked, and we have been talking politics and talking, you know, policy and finances and all those things. And we laughed about it a little bit. And I spoke back, yeah, that would be kind of funny. That would be kind of fun. I was 30 years old. I was 30 years of age. And at that moment, there was something about the laughter, there was something about the conversation that struck me that when I left the office, it stayed with me. It stayed with me. And I remember going through the mind playing games on me, saying, well, why not you? Why wouldn't you run? Would you know just as much about the city than any of the other candidates? You've worked in government. You've had the fortune of seeing all facets of government from top to bottom. I remember making the decision and speaking to my mom about it, and she kind of like, I don't know if you want to do that. You don't know if you want to get into Atlanta politics. I remember sharing with people, is that something you sure you want to do? You want to be in that space? You want to take a step into that world, that political world? And for me, it wasn't a big leap. For me, it was comfortable, even though it was scary. I remember, though, people say you won't get noticed. You'd be too many people running. You have no name recognition. I remember it didn't matter. But I remember being in the first debate that I had. I remember there being 5 candidates there, other candidates, and 2 of those candidates became serious candidates. They stayed the long haul. I was running with them in the long haul. But I remember being on the stage, and the first question I asked, I remember being so super overly excited. And I remember in that moment thinking, man, you were loud, Glenn. Like you really took that question on. And for a brief second, I looked around and when I thought for a moment that I wasn't supposed to be there, the audience gave a response that said, oh, no, sir. No, you're supposed to be here. After that debate, I hit the newspapers and I got invited to every single debate after that day. I share that because there's so many of us that are waiting on the audience's response. So many of us that are waiting on someone to say, yes, go. That day I had the fortune of having an audience. But life isn't like that. Most of the time, there will be no audience to give you the A-OK, you can go now. You've been affirmed. And because life isn't like that, we have to understand that imposter syndrome, like I was sharing with somebody earlier today, imposter syndrome, if you flip it around, it's not really asking, am I ready for this? Imposter syndrome is saying, God, did you make a mistake? you, ain't- you can't you now if you're in the business of asking God, if God, did you make a mistake? Now I can't get with you, but if you understand the difference between saying I'm not sure I'm ready for this, built for this, and when it's sitting right there in front of you, as opposed to saying what you're really saying is, God, did you make a mistake? God makes no mistakes. We are ready for what we are ready for. You might not be technically ready. You may not be creatively ready, but your gift is ready. And we've got to understand that the gift will make room for us. And when your gift is ready, you can't do nothing about it. The question is, are you asking the question, God, did you make a mistake? Or are you going to be on the right side of your gift and say, I accept?
God, that is so strong. You questioning whether the maker who made you, after he made the plan.
Yeah.
He created the plan, and then he created you for the plan.
Yeah.
So you asking if God made the maker, your maker, if he made a mistake. That is powerful. Yes, that is powerful, because that is really what you're asking. And I had a friend say to me yesterday, I remember a couple years ago, I was stuck on the story of Moses in the Bible. I was so stuck on that story. I was so stuck on that story. I read it every day. I was so stuck, because what God said to Moses was, Moses says to God, I think you made a mistake. You didn't choose. You're not talking about me. Me? What? Me, the murderer? You're not talking about me. You was talking about somebody else. God said, I'm talking about you. And he said, I won't come up with the words. I don't know the words to say to him. He said, you go and I will give you what to say. I will give you the words. I will give it to you. You just be in place and on time to do it, to do what I told you to do. So many of us stop, full stop, in our tracks because of that question. God, did you make a mistake? Because we have told ourselves that what we show others, what we demonstrate to others, is not who we really are. We're calling the 90% of people that we have around us liars about who we are, because we've convinced ourselves that we ain't nothing. And you ask God, did you make a mistake? But what you really need to be asking him is, why do I feel this way? Why do I believe that you made a mistake? That's the deep down question. Why do I feel that you made a mistake? What am I telling myself? Why am I self-sabotaging myself? Why am I, so that when you started this, you said sometimes we're waiting for people to affirm, that we need people to affirm us to move in God. That's the one thing, Glenn, that's something about you that I love. One of the things that I told Bobby was, I was like, I love working with him because you give him a vision and I'm going. If he thinks it's a great idea, he doesn't just, I said, now normally I'm at the top of the list of how we're going to get it done, but he goes for it. I told him, I said, I can work with Glenn for a lifetime, because Glenn is not just a visionary. He does it. He knows how to slam dunk it when it happens. He knows how to get the job done. And that is what I think every person needs in their life. It's like, it's not just enough for you to believe in me, but to believe in me enough to make it happen, to help me to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I appreciate you. I appreciate those words. I think I was having a conversation with Jamila today, and you know, what I will say is I can't take credit for that attitude, really. You know, and the reason why is because we're all born into this world great. But the fact is, whoever's nurturing you, whoever's nurturing you when you're a child, that sticks with you. You
Mm.
know, some people,
Mm.
you know, it's positive, some people it's negative, but I'll tell you, I was nurtured in that way, in that mindset. And what I believe is that even though we're adults, I believe you can shift. I believe you can recognize, listen, there's a shift that needs to be made because we get surprised when we, you know, when we win or when the blessing is bestowed upon us, when something happens that doesn't seem like we fit. Yeah, I know. We get shocked. And listen, I get it. I understand. If you're nurtured a certain way over a certain period of time, that's going to be a part of your DNA. Part of your DNA is going to be is that though I may believe in myself, but when it comes to fruition, I question whether or not I'm deserving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But see, we got to understand something fully. We aren't called fully ready. Man, y'all ain't listen to me.
They ain't
We
ready.
aren't called fully ready. Nobody is called fully ready. You can't be fully ready. It actually is the antithesis of what being called means. Nobody's being called ready. You can't be called ready. How you gonna be ready for something that you ain't never done? You're being called to do the work. In your mind, you're trying to figure out how I get fully prepared for something I've never done, for a calling that's on me to do something that's never been done in that space. But you've got to do things that you've never done to get to places that you've never been.
You've got to do things. Back to the funeral today. One of the things that Curtis Carroll was saying about Eric, it's Eric Ward. So about Eric was that, you know, he was willing to do what other people
Yeah.
would not do.
Yeah.
And I know that when I told you that a colleague and friend had passed away and I told you who he was, you said, I remember him from the Y. Working in the community to build people up. Listen, I've told people over and over again, it's not if you got it. And I'm good at giving advice, horrible at taking it, but I've told people, it's not if you got it. You've got it. You were created by God, who is all great. So it's not if you got it. It's if you're going to use it. I heard Eric Thomas say, God said, stop praying. Stop praying and start using. You are asking me for things that I've already given you. You're asking me for courage. You got that. You're asking me for the ability. You got that. You're asking me to be great. You got that. All of that, you got it. The difference between us and somebody who is living in their purpose is that they actually were willing to do what other people were not. They did something different. They stepped out on a limb. They took a chance. They used fear to activate their courage. And they moved. That's what they did. The rest of us sitting back, well, not us, because I'm moving now, but the rest of the world is sitting back. It's just the difference between being average and great is a fine line between average and great. Very thin line, very thin line, because you've got the ingredients already in you. You just haven't used them, or you're not using them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the more times we see our comrades fall, to leave the earthly place, especially at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
I think we process it in the moment, but I don't think we hold on to it for too long because for some reason it seems as though we just continue to relive the whole conversation about mortality. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think this imposter syndrome goes deeper.
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes deeper than just even not feeling ready, not, you know, maybe fearing failure. I think it goes
Deeper.
deeper. I think it's the fear of living full.
Mm.
I think it's the fear of living full. I think I think the whole concept behind, we aren't scared to, die per se. We're scared to, I would suggest, we're scared to leave things on the table. I know that's what the fear was in me. I was scared to leave things on the table. But there's a fear of living full. There's a fear of greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it's a fear is because it is a place where you don't see a whole lot of folks. We are
Mm.
a following crowd. we,
Ooh.
we need to we
Lemon.
need to have we need to have company. you know,
Lemmings.
yeah,
Lemmings.
yeah. We need folks around us. We need to feel comfortable. And when you're living full, when you're living in your greatness, there's not a lot of company. I think imposter syndrome is the surface level that we talk about, but I think deeper than the surface of imposter syndrome is really our fear of what living full really means. It's not our inadequacies. I think there's a famous poem. Actually, it's in Plan B Sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our inadequacies.
Nope.
It's the fear of greatness.
It's the fear of greatness. This is what you said in Plan B Sucks. Highlighted, of course. If you have had the awesome honor of doing something big, bold, and audacious, then you may have experienced the state of being alone. And even more so, you probably have felt the emotion of loneliness. What does it mean when we find ourselves in the state of being alone and feeling lonely? It simply means that we're human. I found that when I was running for office, when I was in the trenches every single day, making phone calls, knocking on doors, and asking for contributions, you were doing that. Obama had holes at the bottom of his shoes because he did that, right? I wasn't alone. People were out there working on my behalf. I just didn't or couldn't always see them. That part.
Yeah.
Think about where you were 8 years ago in the last 8 years, building up this company to be what it is today. You were alone. And then because you did all of that, you built an army to believe in because you had done such an amazing job building the foundation of the company so that I believe, Glenn, you had to do alone because everybody's not going to believe in love in the workplace. It's some things I feel you have to go it alone so that you can build an understanding of it without the noise. Then once you build the understanding of how you feel and through your emotion, only you went through your experiences. Only you, suffered your sufferings. Only you And it was those sufferings and those experiences that makes this job and what we do the believable concept of love works in the workplace. So essentially being alone was the benefit and the blessing of getting us to where we are with hard work and Plan B sucks. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about it a little bit in the book, right? I mean, I talk about alone is actually being a healthy place in certain instances. That there is a necessity for aloneness in many cases, depending on what you're going through. Alone will challenge you. It will test you. It will ask you questions. Imposter syndrome triggers aloneness. It
Mm-hmm.
triggers. It triggers. Am I supposed to be here? Is there supposed to be somebody else here? I feel alone. I'm in a new place. I don't have the cheers anymore. I don't have the crowd. I don't have the audience affirming me anymore. I'm starting anew. All right. I don't have my hype squad.
You are alone and you know what you're afraid of. It just came to me what you just said. You fear yourself. You fear who you have told yourself that you are. Your talk to yourself, your conversation with yourself is so discouraging that you fear being alone with yourself. You don't trust yourself.
Yeah, I definitely think imposter syndrome is about distrust. I mean,
Oh God, yes.
um, but I think there's a way out. I
Yes.
think I believe that. No, I believe that we have a way out. And if anybody's ever experienced imposter syndrome, if you ever find yourself, and listen, let's get real now. Imposter syndrome is not only about work, right? There's some people feeling like they're not ready, or they shouldn't receive a healthy relationship. I'm talking to somebody. I don't know who I'm talking to.
Ooh.
It's folks that don't believe they should receive a healthy relationship. Feel like you're an imposter in your body. You're not cut out for healthy. You're trying to be a little bit more perfect.
Mm.
Or you get into this relationship that you want in your life. You've been checking yourself, trying to get a little bit more ready. A
Mm.
little bit more ready. Understand me? And 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 because you trying to hold on to perfection, you're not realizing that we aren't called in a relationship with perfection. We aren't called in a relationship for perfection. We're called in relationship through intention. Through intention. Through your good intentions, through your desirable intentions that you want something in your life. The calling is not for us to be perfect. The calling is not for us to be whole. Those little keywords. The call is only, are you, or do you want it? Do you have the right intention? So imposter syndrome speaks volumes in all facets of our lives. I've lived that. Where you're trying to, let me get a little bit, let me work on myself a little bit more. Let me get, listen, there's nothing wrong with increase. There's nothing wrong with depositing more in yourself. There's nothing wrong with those things. But when you define it through not feeling worthy, then it gets dangerous. It gets unhealthy. The self-talk that you're giving yourself is a dangerous self-talk when it's about you're not worthy, you're not ready, is what many of us would say. I'll ask the question, well, why aren't you ready? Do you want it? Yes. Are you willing to do the work? Yes. Do you believe that you are worthy? That's a problem.
That's the problem.
That's a problem.
That pause will stop you dead in your tracks from getting to where you need to be. I know.
We can do something about it. We can first change up our self-talk. Look, people joke about self-talk sometimes, but I'll tell you this much. If you've been nurtured into mediocrity, you got to nurture your way out of it. I can't say it any simpler than that. If you've been nurtured in mediocrity, you can't nurture mediocrity anymore. You're already there. You have to self-talk your way out of it. You have to write down affirmations for yourself. You have to practice what you're nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it may be a heavy lift, because if you've heard something for long enough, you believe it. But listen, I'm not here to sugarcoat what you've been believing about yourself. If you don't feel that you're worthy, we are created great. We are created worthy. You are not an imposter in a world that requested you.
Oh,
come on, man. You're an imposter in the world that asked for you.
Wow.
It's impossible.
Mm.
So first, your self-talk has to shift. You have to change your self-talk into a talk that says, I was meant to be here. When we talk about you were created on purpose, with purpose, for purpose, how can you be an imposter in your own town? How can you be an imposter in your own home? This is your home. Everywhere you land, everywhere you go was created for you. The difference is that those who understand it, they move forward and they take advantage of it. They don't ask for permission. They understand that they were already given permission in the gifts that they were created with. The difference is those who don't, those who pause, those who find a way to talk themselves out of it. We nurture the mediocrity that shouldn't be. The second space is you got to understand that there's insignificance all around you. And if you nurture insignificance, you will become insignificant. I can't say it. Listen to me. You can't nurture insignificance and become significant. If you have insignificance around you, you know who I'm talking to. You know what I'm talking about. I can't tell you what your insignificant stuff is, but you know what it looks like. You know what it smells like, feels like, tastes like. You know what insignificant is. And if you have it around you, it will deem it necessary to make you insignificant with it. If you got insignificance around you, got to get it out of your life, because significant people don't hang around insignificance. If you know, like I know, the last thing is always going to be the thing that I'm always lead off on. Who's coming up the bat last? Who's coming up the bat last? You got significance, but then you got self-love. Listen to me. You got self-talk, you got significance, and you got self-love. Let me tell you something. If you don't love yourself, there's no conversation to be had. There's no conversation that we can have. I understand what it means not to love yourself. I've been there. You see, you think, Glenn, no, you couldn't have never been there. I've been there for a long time. I abused myself for a long time. That wasn't love. It was a search. There's so many of us that are abusing ourselves, and we're wondering why when we get in those rooms that we become imposters in our minds, but we don't understand we've been programming ourselves around insignificance and self-loathing, not self-love. You've been abusing your time with stuff to get your mind and your heart off of what's really happening in your space. And when the time comes to take advantage of your gift, in your purpose, you fall short. Not because it wasn't, no, that wasn't meant for me. That wasn't God, he don't want that for me. No. Don't put it on God. No. When you nurture insignificance and you nurture self-loathing and you abuse your body, you think you love yourself, but you can't love yourself drinking yourself into a hole. That ain't love. Can't love yourself by treating your body like a ping pong ball. I'm talking to somebody. I'm telling my story, but I'm talking to somebody too. You can't love yourself like that. If you decide you want to love yourself, if you want to truly love yourself, if you want to prepare yourself for the gift that God has put inside of you to use it, you won't be worried about talking about some God didn't want that from me, because you ain't got to worry about what God don't want for you anymore, because you are ready. Just through the mere fact that you have loved yourself. You don't need to be technically prepared for your gift. You don't need to be technically prepared for your calling. God calls you not ready, needs you ready. God don't need you ready. God made you on purpose to come to a calling, but you got to love yourself. You got to self-talk yourself into understanding that you were created great, that your gift will always make room for you if you just get out of his way. You got to get rid of insignificant things. You know what they are. You holding on to them because you think that they affirm you. You think they make you feel good. You think they your hype crowd. You know they no. It's insignificant and it brings no value. And because it adds no value, you are now insignificant with it. And that may hurt your feelings, but I'm just telling you what it is. I was insignificant for a long time. Had my gift already. But you can't use that gift around insignificance. It doesn't see it, doesn't respect it, doesn't appreciate it. You can't do that. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself like God loves you. It's impossible to do it, but you can try. You got to love yourself, though. You got to love yourself like nobody will love you. But not only do you have to love yourself, you have to show yourself love. You got to show yourself love. Man, I tell you, first time I showed myself some love, I damn broke my neck. I couldn't even believe what was going on. That's what love is. Okay, yes, sir. Imposter syndrome is deeper than what we talk about. It's deeper than the surface level. If you're willing to get right with yourself, you ain't got to worry about imposter syndrome anymore, because you were created on purpose, with purpose and for purpose. You were meant to be here. You were meant to have all the blessings that this world and this universe provide. But the world will tell you a million things. Insignificance will tell you a million things. World talk will tell you a million things. Self-loathing will tell you a million things. But if you want to bet on the world, go for it. But if you trust life, you're going to be all right. You got to trust life. You got to trust God.
Let me tell y'all something right now. That is my Jerry Maguire. Y'all can't have him. He's my mentor. Y'all can't have him. He ain't taking no more clients. Get your own. That's going to be hard to do, but get your own. Listen here. I came back to the United States of America with the same stuff I left with, because I didn't deal with my relationship that I had with me, the self-loathing, the insignificance, waiting for somebody to affirm me. And let me tell you something. Glenn got me right with this same conversation. That's why I didn't want to interject, because I needed y'all to hear it, the hard truth, just the way I did. And I'm still working on me. This week, I found it extremely difficult to accept something that God put right in my hands. And it was because I thought, did you make a mistake? Did you mean me? Because I still realize this week I have some work to do. So don't ever think you always gonna have it together. Listen here, y'all. If you don't love you, then don't request or hold anybody else accountable for loving you. Get right with yourself. If you don't want to spend time with yourself, if you're afraid to spend time with you, if you're afraid to have a conversation with yourself, then what you might want to do, and this is hurt feelings time, is ask yourself, why would anybody else want to spend time with me? Don't hold people accountable for something that you can't even do yourself.
Well,
get your life right. Talk to yourself better and know whose you are. Not who you are, but whose you are. Glenn was talking about a poem that he had in the book. Were you talking about A Dream Deferred?
No.
Evictus?
No, I was talking about an excerpt from I forget her name. Is it Miriam? It's not Miriam. It's Mary.
So, but today, I really read the words to the poem Evictus. Really read the words to the poem. Read it, study it, and understand that you are your greatest gift to this world. You are. You are your greatest gift. You are the captain of your soul. Glenn said a few weeks ago, you are the only person that can save you. Ain't nobody coming. Y'all remember that one? Ain't nobody coming to save you. You are the only person that can save you. You get right with you, and then the words that people say to encourage you might ring true, but you got to be in a position to receive it and believe it.
The poem is from Marianne Williamson. I'm not going to read the entire poem, but it's an excerpt from her, I think her first book. I think it's powerful.
What page is it?
It's on page 30. Super powerful. But I'm going to read the first 3 lines, and I want, it's from the book of Return to Love. And, and every time I hear it, there are not a lot of things that get me up. And I mean, get me up and going. And this is one excerpt that gets me up every single time I hear it. I'm gonna read the first 4 lines because I think they're the most important when you talk about in this conversation in context. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ain't got a problem in the dark. We ain't got a problem with dying. Just like you said, Pastor said. We got a problem with living full. We got a problem with living full. If you are listening right now, if you're listening live or listening, recording, whatever it may be, ask yourself a question. Am I ready to live a full life? Am I ready to live full? Because I know I'm going to die one day. I know it's going to be over one day. But what am I waiting on? Well, what am I waiting on? I'm waiting on something tragic to happen? Am I waiting on somebody to affirm for me it's safe enough to live full? Am I waiting on somebody to give me the A-OK? It's your turn now. What is it about us living full? What is it about us living in the light that frightens us? I'll tell you again what frightens us about the light. What frightens us about the light is that everybody is in the dark. We want to be where everybody else is at. We want to be where insignificance is at, because insignificance is in the dark, and insignificance is comfortable in the dark. And we know
our company.
Yeah, we
not alone.
Not alone anymore. And I want people to read Plan B Sucks in the Alone chapter. I want you to read about aloneness. Why aloneness is not a bad thing. Why we've been tricked to thinking alone is negative. Why alone is a bad thing. Why so many of us can't be in our single state of relationship. I know I wasn't ready for a relationship. Hell, I didn't have a relationship with myself. How you gonna be ready for a relationship with somebody else? You can't. You can't relationship with yourself, but you want a relationship with somebody else. You ain't got a relationship with God, but you want a relationship with a human being. That's a tough sale. A tough sale. With
the Creator. I'm sorry.
And I'm not throwing stones. I'm speaking from experience. I'm telling you my story. How you gonna have a good, healthy relationship with a human being? You ain't got a healthy relationship with God.
Wait 1 second. And by relationship, we mean not that you say your prayers every night, but that you actually spend time with God, that He is actually on your list of things to do on a daily basis, and that you are doing more than just asking Him for something, that you're actually listening to Him and meditating on what He has said to you.
I'm gonna end with this. Listen. I can say it. I say it ad nauseum, but it's time to get out of the dark. It's time to get out of the dark. I'm not gonna tell you it's easy in the light. I'm not gonna tell you everything's gonna be all right in the light. I'm not gonna tell you there's no suffering in the light. I'm not gonna tell you that when you get to the light, everybody's gonna welcome you in the light. I'm not gonna feed you that narrative. But the light is where we're meant to be. God didn't create anything until He made light. God, boy, you better stop it. You better stop. Didn't create anything until He called for light. It's time to live full. It's time to live in the light. It's time to take one step at a time. If you want to take one step, I'm like Pastor Altar. If you want to just take one step today, yeah, just take one step. Just write down in your pad, write down in your phone, I want to live in the light. Just write down, I want to live in the light. And then tomorrow, write it down, I want to live in the light again. I want to live in the light. And then write down, I want to live full. And keep on writing affirmations. Affirmations that they're not made up. It's not make-believe. It's not ego. It's gift. It's gift. Can you imagine a world where everybody woke up in the morning and they lived in the light? Can you imagine a world where we all woke up in the morning and we lived in the light? What a world.
Especially when light is the absence of darkness. I mean, darkness is the absence of light. That's
what a
it.
World. What a world. I'm done.
Darkness is just the absence of light. You get scared, open your eyes.
I'm done.
When you get scared, just open your eyes. All right. Glenn, you preached a sermon tonight, honey. Thank you.
I didn't cry tonight. I almost did a couple times. So I didn't cry.
Oh, listen, I thought for sure I was going to cry tonight. I thought for sure it was.
I held the tears back tonight.
You know, I have been crying all week, so I thought for sure.
Sometimes you gotta do it.
Sure. Yep, sometimes we got to do it. So I have been sure. Y'all, I I cannot, this is not even a sales pitch. Glenn has offered this book for free several times.
Yeah, didn't we offer it for free?
Y'all didn't even download it when it was free. Like, honestly, he has given this book away for free several times. He do it he's done it several times. Y'all listen, this ain't even a sales pitch. Let me tell you something. This is the best 2 hours of your life that you will spend reading a book. This book has changed lives. This book, I know personally, this book is changing lives. Read it. I promise you, you will see a difference in how you feel about yourself and how you feel about life in general. I'm not saying that you're going to have a big revelation that's going to get you to greatness today, start doing things. I'm saying that it'll get you started. You got to start somewhere. So read, plan, be, sucks, y'all. I'm telling y'all, it's the greatest gift I can give you. If I could buy everybody one, I would send it to you. If I could buy everybody one, but listen, I'm telling you, the book is free. Read it and then activate your superpower of just being great. Okay. Thank you guys so much, especially, those of you who are interacting with us, because when you interact with us, it lets us know that we are touching and healing hearts. So thank you so much for taking the time, not just to come out, but the energy to interact and engage with the powerfulness of what we do on Tuesday night. We know it's working. We know that we're healing. We understand that. And we're glad that you are letting us know that we are healing hearts and that we are giving you things that you can think about, meditate about, to believe that you are great and you are here on purpose.
We love you. Go live full.
We love you. Bye, Mama. Bye, Nikki. Bye, Jamila.
Hey,
bye, Eric.
Jasmine.
Bye, Jasmine. Who was the Facebook user? Was that Jessica?
I'm not sure. It might have been Jessica, then Morris.
Oh, Morris. Yeah, it could have been Morris too. Bye, y'all. Have a good night.